Good morning. I'm Steve Burlingame, and I'm going to serve as chair this afternoon, or this morning, rather. Our chairman is online and is going to report in from his home. Our vice chair is traveling, and here I am. So welcome to the March 19th, 2024 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. And I'll read the introductory note. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing at any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chair. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, section 20, until March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling phone number 1-508-945-4410. The conference ID is 520-812-379 hashtag. Or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting at the town's website as soon as possible. The call-in number again is 508-945-4410, and the conference ID is 520-812-379 hashtag. First, I would like to do a roll call of the people that are the commissioners here today. Initially, I'm going to save you to the end, Frank. Let's see. Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Sandy Porter.
Here.
Janet Tonnison.
Here.
Robert Stevens will be a regular member here today because of the short staff, and Steve Burlingame is here as well. And Frank Messina, our chair, is here remotely. I guess that's not proper English. He's not here remotely. He is here. Remote.
He's here.
Right.
I'm here, and as I like to kid around and say, as the poet said, the reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated. I guess it was Mark Twain. And I'm looking forward to be back probably next month. And I appreciate, Steve, you stepping in. And Bob is somewhere in Philadelphia with his grandchildren. And Don is having some issues, and hopefully he'll be back to join us. One last thing, if I could quickly, and I'll be quiet on this subject, is you also have listening in Nancy Barr. Nancy was a member of the commission for many years, and I served with her. The highlight of Nancy's service on the Historical Commission is the publication of our book, Sense of Place by the Sea. And Nancy was interviewed by the Select Board and will be on the agenda tonight's Select Board. Hopefully they will agree and appoint her, and she will fill the open second open alternate seat with Robert. So anyway, Nancy is just listening in, and welcome. Thank you.
All right,
Steve,
continue on.
Mr. Lear is here watching, listening.
Bob Lear is on. Oh, Bob Lear's good.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you are. Bob Lear is here as well. He's a regular member. He's here remotely, again, a double entendre or something. But in any event, welcome, Bob, and we look forward to your participation in the meeting today.
Thank you.
Well, the first item of business we have is the approval of the minutes. Are there any comments regarding the minutes? Yes, Janet?
I have one correction in the first, here under hearings, it's Deep Hole Road and not H-I-L-E, it's H-O-L-E, Deep Hole Road. That's the only thing I
Right.
saw.
Okay,
Just a
thank you.
typo. Mhm.
Any other comments?
I'd like to move that we accept the minutes of March 5th, 2024,
Is there a second?
as
Second,
corrected.
second.
Reading all those in favor, Stephanie Hamilton,
Yes.
Andy Porter,
I wasn't in attendance, I can't vote.
She wasn't there.
okay. Janet Tennyson,
Yes,
just Tennyson, I'm sorry.
Tennyson.
Tennyson, huh? I'll get it right.
That's okay.
Robert Stevens,
Yes.
Bob Lear,
Yes.
and Frank Messina, again, was not here.
Abstain?
And Steve Burlingame is here and votes yes as well.
Bob Lear was here.
And Bob Lear has voted yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
And I appreciate all the help from the commission. All your comments and support are welcome. Don't hesitate to correct me, add to me, subtract from me, etc. We have two public hearings. The first one is application number 24-007. That's being held in accordance with Chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw, to fully demolish an historic building yet to be determined, located at 33 Pine Bluff Road by Andrew L. Singer, Esquire, on behalf of his clients, J.R. Fennel Realty Trust. Attorney Singer.
Good morning. For the record, Andrew Singer, attorney in Dennisport, here on behalf of the applicant. And with me in the audience is Steve Glasheen from Polima Savory De Silva Architects. This is a request, and the building is up on the screen, the photographs of it. And for those who were there yesterday, you saw it in person. This is a small 662 square foot cottage, which we believe originated back around 1930 as a 300 square foot or so garage. The end that you see on the right there, which is where the garage used to be, is now the bedroom. It's been a cottage for many decades. As part of a redevelopment of the property, the applicants are proposing to demolish this structure and not replace it. There'll be some further redevelopment elsewhere on the property. Based on the review of, there's a crawl space under the entire structure, and when you look at the block foundation and the framing, we're not really sure, how much of the building, if any, is still original. And it might have been changed many, many decades ago. It was expanded many decades ago. The request is, as I said, to remove it. If you have questions for myself or Steve, who he's been in and under the building, took the photographs, I'll be happy to answer them, and we appreciate your help. For those of you who were and were not at the site, there is the main house, which is a 1929 cape on the house, has been fully restored, is remaining. There are no changes being proposed to the house itself. The request here today is just for this small structure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of the application? Hearing none. Any comments from the board? Go ahead, Janet.
Well, having attended the site visit yesterday, and I can see that my impression is that it's old, but not necessarily having historical significance, as does the main house. So I don't really see a problem with this myself.
Sandy?
Good morning, Mr. Singer.
Good morning.
Question, the intent is to take down both the house and the garage, the cottage and the garage?
Yes, the ultimate, is to remove, yes, the cottage, and then you can see it on the top right picture, the two-story garage, which is another dwelling unit. They'll be replacing that elsewhere on the property, so there will be no structures in this part of the property afterwards.
They're not going to replace the cottage with anything?
They're ultimately going to be replaced, they're going to be building a structure which is going to be a garage cottage, like
Okay.
the larger structure that's there next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, today there's the house and two dwelling cottages on the property. Ultimately, it'll be the dwelling and one cottage on the property.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Robert?
I see no problem with the application. It is old, but it's minor in character. If you walk around it, there's nothing that I see that's terribly historical, so I basically agree with Janet.
Are there any comments from Mr. Lear or from Mr. Messina?
Yes, I have my hand raised, if that's okay.
That's Frank.
Hi. A couple of questions. One question about 33, the main house. Had that come before the commission? Christina?
They're not touching the main house, but I did
Well,
not
I mean-
research. I did not research if that house has come to the commission. I can look into it.
Well, maybe Mr. Singer, that property is 1929, I guess?
Correct.
Why had it not come before the commission?
I do not know the permitting history for the main house. I know it was renovated, believe, many years ago. I just don't know what permits or not they might have had for that.
Okay. Christina, I mean, I know it's not germane to this particular hearing, but if you could find out, because, you know, when I did my drive-by yesterday, it's obvious. They've made significant changes to that property. And if I was looking at the card, it's, you know, it's more than 75 years old. So I don't know if there's something happened or somebody, and maybe Mr. Polimis or somebody from NIST company knows. I mean, they're usually very, very careful about coming before the commission when something is 75 years old.
Frank, I could indicate if it's 75 years old now, previously it was
Yeah,
not, and so there would be no need to come before the commission previously, because before now it was less than 75 years. So.
Yeah. Well, Christine, if you could check into it, just find the date, I'd appreciate it. But back to the hearing, your application is to demolish the one property, the one building. The second building is not 75 years, and you're not demolishing it, or you're not demolishing it now?
No, the second building is to be demolished, but it is not 75 years old. It was built in 1979, I believe.
Got it. Okay, fine. I attempted to get on the property, but there was just too much activity, and I just couldn't walk to it. And I appreciate it. Does Mr. Polimis, who's the architect, have any sense of what you're planning to do to the property? You talked about a new structure coming in, but you're not showing us anything. You're not required to, but I just was interested if you knew what it was and anything you can share with us.
Be happy to answer. If you saw, for those of you who were there, and if you saw, when you're coming down Pine Bluff Road, which looks like a driveway, but it's the road, on the right, there's an area of lawn, which is, used to be a swimming pool. It's no longer there. And in that general area, Frank, to answer your question, they're proposing to rebuild a two-story garage cottage on top, similar to the larger building that's on the property now, but it would be somewhat different shape and would be, you know, relocated from where it is now over to that other part of the property.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Other than my comments, I guess I agree with the consensus that this is not necessarily an historical significant property and would not vote to impose any kind of demolition delay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Is there anybody else who has something to add or question regarding this application?
Steve, if I could, I've been out there before, actually, with, I think, the Conservation Commission a number of years ago. So I know with Frank that it looks familiar, but I don't think it had to do with anything historic. So I agree with him. I don't see any reason to maintain that cottage.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Janet?
Yes. I move that the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the building located at 33 Pine Bluff Avenue, not the main house, but what used to be the garage, former garage cottage, is, not historically significant, and because it does not meet any of the definitional criteria and 158-2 A, B, or C of the bylaw, therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Any further comments from the public? And I'll ask for a vote. Mr. Messina?
Yes.
Mr. Lear?
Yes.
Don Aikman is not here. Stephanie Hamilton?
Yes.
Sandy Porter?
Yes.
Janet Tennyson?
Yes.
Robert Stevens?
Yes.
And Steve Burlingame, the clerk, votes yes as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, we appreciate your time.
Our second application and the final application, number 24-008, in accordance with Chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw of the town of Chatham, is pursuant to a notice of intent to fully demolish a building or structure located at 107 Highland Avenue, filed by George Riley of Brewster on behalf of the Highland Realty Trust. Mr. Riley.
Yes, George Riley representing the Highland Realty Trust. We were back before you earlier. Most of you may remember. I don't think that there's a point of going over the significance of the existing structure. We've been through that quite significantly. I got the impression from the last one that the replacement, proposed replacement house, there was some concern about that, particularly about the character of the road so we've tried to do some remodeling of the proposed structure to make it fit more into the character of the neighborhood and not be such and similar to the existing house. I don't know. I think we have a picture there on comparing the proposed structure and the existing structure. Do we have that? Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. So you can see that we've taken the entry canopy step and replaced it on the proposed house, and the design of the house was an attempt to look quite similar to the house to the right at 119 Highland, so they look quite compatible. The proposed structure is approximately, within a very small amount, the same footprint as the existing house, but this is a story and a half. It's significantly lower than the existing structure, but because the proposed house is going to be a little bit higher on the grade, but even with the raising of the foundation, it'll be still lower than the existing house by about a foot or more. The reason that the house is coming up a little bit is so it's compatible with the house to the right it'll be approximately the same grade as that, perhaps a tiny bit lower, and that allows for the proposed garage underneath the house. If you can show that elevation, is that possible? Here we go. Oh, it's Annie. Sorry, didn't see you there. That one. So that's the house in the back that's the 119. That's not part of this structure. Part of this structure is just that part there. And it's, if I have my little card here. Well, let's see, can we get this to work? Am I doing this right? Obviously. Aha. Right here, this grade is, we'll go to the site plan, but there's a retaining wall that goes like this. And so this part should be, I won't say it's be invisible, but it'll not be seen quite in that structure from the road. If you want to go to the other elevation of the front of the building, can we do that, Annie? The front, oh, there you go. So that's the grade, and it goes down like this. So that that side of the house won't be visible because this will all be planted. So that's it's large. If you go back to the same elevation of the existing house, can we do that? One more. One elevation. We're getting closer. There we go. One more. There you go. You can see quite large. This house will be lower and a little bit, and maybe the grade here will be a little bit lower. But this grade here will be higher and with vegetation. So this, well, there we go. Hey, I think I'm getting too complicated and confused. If we go to the site plan, I'll show you that. There you go. There, over this one over here. There. So this wall here won't be seen from the road because the face of the wall is on the back. So those retaining walls won't be seen, and this is the side of the house. So this grade is way higher than this, and then this gets planted, so that this part of the house shouldn't be viewed from Highland Avenue. So we're trying to diminish the effect on the road and make it look as similar to the existing house as we can, and make it compatible with this house here. So that's the plan.
Mr. Riley, because we're concerned primarily with the destruction of the existing house, this is an application to demolish as opposed to an application to build. Would you speak a bit about the existing house, its condition, its history, if any, that we might give consideration to that?
Yes. The house was built in the early 20s, I think maybe 24, and it was built for the Tuttle family, and they were fishermen. I think Mr. Charles Tuttle's son he may still be fishing. He's maybe retired now, but he was quite well-known fisherman here. And they lived in the house until Mrs. Tuttle passed on a couple of years ago, and they had constructed a garage in the back with like a guest apartment above it. And so when we went to Service House at the time of the sale, the Mackenzie Engineering said that the foundation would have to be replaced. And if you were there, you could probably have seen the cracks in the foundation. And that there was some damage to the roof because when Mrs. Tuttle was alive in her later years, she liked to feed the seagulls, and they were on the roof of the house continuously. So the house would have required a good deal of renovation to make it work, and the people who bought this didn't want such a superstructure. They wanted a smaller house, really, and felt it was to their benefit to put a new building up. It would have been too expensive to renovate.
Thank you. Are there any other persons who wish to speak in favor of the application, either online or to the audience? Hearing none, I would open it up to comments by the commissioners as to their thoughts and what they saw yesterday or what they've seen by reading the materials. Stephanie?
When I went by the house, I was bothered that this house that looks fairly decent is going to be demolished. I didn't see that much that looked like it needed to be repaired from the outside.
Sandy?
I'm very familiar with this house. I've been in it. Yep. This house is historically significant, and it seems to me that we put a demo delay on it,
Yes.
which hasn't expired yet. And one of my questions is, are you going for a repetitive petition before the Zoning Board of Appeals?
We're going for the lot is non-conforming, mainly because it has two dwelling units on a lot that's too small for two significant use, and the garage is non-conforming on this lot. And I think the frontage is like an inch or two short, but the proposed house that we're asking for does not go against any of the zoning codes, the setbacks, the building coverage, the septic system, any of that.
And how much,
So the reason that it went before the zoning before was that they wanted to divide the lot into two separate lots. And the back lot was to go to the 99 to the right. So yeah, there you go. So that this, I got it? Yeah, this part was going to go to this lot, and this part was going to go to this lot. So the property line would have gone something like this, and this side would have gone here, and this side would have gone there. The zoning board felt that they could not create essentially a new lot that would be non-conforming.
okay.
So that they didn't. So the plan is to then so by the time all that application and hearings went, the demolition permit that we asked for had expired at that point. So we're coming back with the original idea of creating that this house and this house be compatible and look the same, and that the architecture when this was built was sort of similar to that, which is probably why people are less enthusiastic about it.
Is this, are these drawings that you've presented to us smaller? I don't have the application that came before us. This is smaller than the previous application?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it is still historic, and it's still a historic building.
Sandy, how do you define historic in regard to this particular house?
It's an older house. It was built on a road that, if you read that, Slavens Road. Do you know the Slavens in town? They've been here a long time. And age, and the Tuttles, they have a family name. They've been here a long time. Mrs. Tuttle, Loris Tuttle, was a penniman. Was a penniman.
Right.
So there is some historic value to the people that lived in it and that built it and that owned it. And we already have a demo delay on it, and we're 6 months away from the expiration of the demo delay, or approximately 6 months away from the demo delay.
Are we sure about that? Is that correct?
I think it's November of 2024.
Okay.
So I would like to see the demo delay stand.
Okay, Janet, your comment.
Well, I agree with Sandy. This is the second or third appearance before us to determine that it is historically significant, and it's still historically significant. And I think the reason, my understanding is the reason that we say that we imposed the demolition delay was hope springs eternal, that the owners would consider building something, if they're determined to remove it, at least build something that's more in character with the history of the neighborhood, and the houses across the street are managing to do that.
Right.
I'm torn because I know that ultimately this is going to happen. And so the neighbors are then subjected to this mess across the street for the whole summer. I don't know.
I hope I'd remind all of you to keep in mind that our jurisdiction is for the demolition and not what is done with the property afterwards.
We already did that.
I understand, but we reflect a lot about the what's going to be built and what it's going to look like and what the neighborhood is going to look like and things of that nature. That's not part of our jurisdiction.
Why do we do a demolition delay?
I don't know. I did not support it. Very well. There's a hand raised online, my understanding is Mr. Messina.
Yeah, well, I'll back off if Mr. Robert has some comments before I speak, but either way, your choice.
I recognize you, Frank.
All right. I strongly agree with the comments that have been made thus far by Sandy and Stephanie and Janet. As it's said, you know, we've already twice determined this house is historically significant. It doesn't go away. It is historically significant at this particular point. There's no way we can vote all of a sudden something magic happened and it's not historically significant. I have to thank the applicant, you know, for attempting to do what the purpose of the demolition delay, and just to comment a bit, you know, the comment is, what's the purpose of the demolition delay? The purpose of the demolition delay is to delay the demolition of an historically significant property, which is happening here. The applicant did make an attempt to come back and, in his own words, attempt to change the front of the house to be technically more in character with the neighborhood. And there goes the issue, Steve. And yeah, we do consider the neighborhood when we consider streetscape and the historical significance of what's happening to the property. One of the reasons I oppose any action other than just to allow the demolition delay to continue, I think it would be more punitive to vote again another 12 or 18-month delay. That I don't think is encompassing in what we should do. So I agree with my opinion, we should just let it stand the way it is. The biggest objection I have, and Annie, if you could go to the drawing HRA4 elevation left. This is what bothers me the most. You know, yes, you made a good attempt, and I have to congratulate you, an attempt on the front of the house to change it from what you had previously provided us. But when I look at the side of the house, and I guess what I'm looking at, the darker element is the new proposed structure, and the two structures in the back are what's there now.
Yes, that's the existing structure. That's correct. Yeah.
Could you repeat that again?
Yes, the structures in the back, that's the existing house. That's the house,
Yeah.
The neighboring property, the abutting property's house.
Yeah, I mean, you're building like a Disneyland here. with everything looking like the same and, with that same, triangle thing. And just inconsistent to me relative to what you're proposing. And I would agree with 3 people who have spoken so far that, to reaffirm the historical significance and to reaffirm the demolition delay in place, not add any more time to it, and that it would expire on November 21st, 2024, unless the applicant wants to take another shot at coming back to us with something which is more consistent with the historical character of Highland Avenue. Thank you.
Any other comments? Robert?
Well, this is a tough one. I wasn't around for the first time he came for the demolition delay. But I know the area well. And I see other houses on Seaview and on Highland that have been brought back to life in a historical manner. So it seems that this one was designed to go along with the house on the right and the left, but it doesn't fit the neighborhood. There are many historical houses from the Redeemer Church all the way around the corner there. So again, I guess the best thing to do is just hope that you would come back with something more in line with historic nature. I know that the house that's there is old, and I can see how someone would look at it and go, oh, that's a tear down. You got to do that right away. Tear it down. It's no good. But I've seen lots of houses that you could say that about that have come back to life in a beautiful way that have really brought up the level of the streets. And this one brings up just the level of the 2 houses, one on each side. So I don't want to go on and on here, but to be generous, I'd say just go ahead and go ahead with the existing demolition delay with no other punitive action taken. That's about where I am.
Okay. Bob Lear, do you have a comment?
Just to agree with the prior 2 speakers, there are plenty of houses in the old village that have been in worse shape that have been brought back to life. And this effort here is confusing because whoever drew the plans decided to put in the house next door, which doesn't fit in either. So I'd say continue the demolition delay and come up with something that fits the historic nature of the neighborhood.
I guess the consequence of that would be if we were to pursue the current demolition delay, then the applicant can build whatever he chooses. It doesn't need to be this design. It could be the previous design or any other design. It could be more Disney-ish than Frank could ever imagine. So I think
There's
we've
the
got
zoning board, Steve. This is the zoning issue, so let them deal with it.
It's got to go back for zoning.
That's great, but I'm talking about our jurisdiction and our job and
No,
what we're responsible for. But the zoning board, which will talk about lot size and things of that nature, again, doesn't have jurisdiction over design either. And I have to remind.
That's not true. That's not true, Steve. The zoning board can opine on the nature of a structure in terms of they do have design responsibility, or design review responsibility.
Not specifically. They have some about neighborhood comments and things of that nature where they can make that determination. And I don't know that they have to go before the zoning board of appeals. I think they only have to go to the planning commission because of that situation with the second dwelling. But in any event, I appreciate the fact that Mr. Riley, his client, have made an effort, I think a substantial one, to modify the previous design in order to move this thing along. I appreciate the fact that has been a finding of the historical character of the existing house. from what I can see from the determination of the developer, of the owners, that the demolition delay is probably not going to accomplish anything in this regard. I'll support the fact that the other commissioners have made comments that I do agree with. I think that the nature of the neighborhood is pretty traditional. It's very traditional. And this will fly in the face of that to some extent. I don't think to the extent of the other two dwellings, but as opposed to this one. So I will, if someone will make the motion, I will support the continuation of the existing demolition delay and deny this application.
Second. Is that the motion, or do you want me to? I move that the Chatham Historical Commission reconfirms that the building located at 107 Highland Avenue is historically significant because it is whole and part 75 years old or more, and it already has a demolition delay, that a 12-month demolition delay that will expire on November 21st, 2024, and suggest we hold to that.
Second?
Thank you. Is there a second to that? Frank?
Second?
Frank
Yep.
seconded. Any further discussion? Then we'll have a roll call, and we'll start with Mr. Messina
Yes?
and Mr. Lear.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Ms. Porter,
Yes.
Ms. Tennyson,
Yes.
and Mr. Stevens.
Yes.
And the clerk votes yes as well. I want to thank you for your efforts, and I think I appreciate your efforts to minimize what we were facing.
Well,
Thank you. That concludes our application discussions. Is there any new business that people are pressed to discuss? If not,
Yeah, Mr. Steve, I have one or two things just quickly to add.
okay.
Relative to the agenda under Chairman's report, I just want to comment on the second item, return of the historic U.S. Coast Guard boathouse, adaptive reuse as a shellfish upweller. There is activity there. I don't know if you've been driving by, but the town has done a significant amount of dredging in the area to put a new bulkhead in and also to put the piers in, which will accept the Coast Guard boathouse in sometime in the hopefully near future, the next year or so, and its reuse, adaptive reuse as the upweller at 90 Bridge Street. We've been working on this for about 25 years or more, and if this does happen, it would be great in terms of bringing this historic structure back to Sage Harbor. As part of that, there has been a lot of activity with the Finance Committee and the Select Board. I guess are going to be involved again. I see a select person, Mr. McCastro, is here. But the reason I'm mentioning it is that there was 2 meetings where the reconstruction of a waterfront bond will be coming before the town meeting in May. And that bond, which I think is about $10, $11 million, has a number of areas in the town which are going to be subject to reconstruction: Barn Hill, Riders Cove, the Fish Pier, the Trap Dock, etc., and the boathouse. So, personally, I hope the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, will support it, and the town meeting will support it. So that just along that way. The other thing on the issues on hold, I just want to comment. We're still waiting for the town of Chatham to hire a new planner so we could get on with some of the activities that are on hold, including the issue of demolition by neglect. There's a lot going on that I think we could probably do something, as we have in the past, to provide some kind of a change to our bylaw to help that. And lastly, that we can proceed with some kind of activity with our archaeologist, Holly Herbst, to apply to Mass Historic on the issue of historical significance of the Nickerson family site. Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate you filling in, and see you guys soon.
Do you have a comment that you'd like to make, Mr. DeCastro?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note with respect to the boathouse, there are two items. Frank mentioned one of them, the I think it's 11.4, $11.7 million sort of a renewal of the appropriation that town meeting voted a number of years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, in a similar amount. And there still are a number of projects on the waterfront infrastructure side that need attention. So that was voted to be placed on the warrant and recommended by the Select Board and also by the Finance Committee. The other item with respect to the boathouse itself, there is also an item on the warrant that the Select Board have supported coming from the Community Preservation Committee. I don't know if Stephanie's on today, but they recommended, they are recommending to town meeting $350,000 in addition to the $350,000 that was already approved by town meeting to help bring the boathouse, to make repairs to the boathouse and before it's brought down here. So those are on town meeting warrant for May. So I wanted to just add that information to what Frank had said. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Are there any other comments? I don't know of any correspondence. The issues on hold, I think that Frank has commented on those to the extent that we need comment. Are there anything else? Is there anything else to come before the commission? I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
Thank you, Jana. Unless I hear any further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by standing up.
We need a roll call, Steve.
Aye, we need a roll.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Messina,
Yes.
Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Miss Hamilton,
Yes.
and Ms. Porter,
Yes.
Ms. Tennyson. Mr.
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
and the clerk votes yes as well. Now, meeting is adjourned, and you
Thank you.